Welcome, everybody, to the R&R-Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R-Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network, and we have a sweet sponsor in Gear Up Sports, a youth sports platform focused on solving uniform and apparel headache for coaches. If you're a youth or high school coach and need uniforms or R&R gear, check out gearupsportswithus.com and make sure you mention the R&R. Thorning, we're here after the Cat Griz. I know I'm a Mad Cat fan right now. That's where I'm at. We're going to talk about the playoff brackets. We're going to talk about Cat Griz, and I think we just got to vent. I know I'm going to. This is going to be therapy for me.
I'm not sure where I am right now. We'll see once we start talking about it. I feel like I already kind of went through the angry stage during the game. I haven't felt very angry today. Mostly just felt sad and / refocusing my efforts on the playoffs and being like optimistic and just kind of putting this in the past. But we'll see. Maybe you'll drag me down back in the mud and I'll get angry too.
Yeah. I'm going to drag you into the deep waters of depression with me.
Yeah.
And so I can have someone to drown with. There you go.
Works for me.
All right. Well, a little look for the show. We'll talk about the final FCS rankings. We'll probably talk about the FCS football bracket. We're just going to riff on the Montana State-Montana game. The 37-7 beatdown in Missoula. And then we'll preview the North Dakota State game, although we'll have more to talk about that next week when Coach Fegan comes out, and we'll probably do an in-depth dive during that. But I have some preliminary thoughts on some matchup stuff and what to look for from North Dakota State.
Are you presuming that the Bison are going to steamroll Drake?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess the just plowing through that game, right? So, yeah.
I think South Dakota State beat Drake like 70-7 earlier in the season or something, 73. So I assume the Bison are going to win. But, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk some playoffs here at some point.
All right. But first, let's talk about what's in our Golden Coolies.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
Yeah, sucker.
What's in your Golden Coolie? Brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. See Shea Richter and company over in Fort Benton for all your farming and fertilizer needs in the Golden Triangle. I'm pretty much out of beer in the fridge, and I'm going to drink the sad beer that kind of kicked off the crap week that was last week. I got a Rolling Rock again.
My uncle contacted me, and he said his trucking company, they ran out of Bozeman, used to haul the Rolling Rock for Montana. So
it's sad. They don't even make it in the bottles anymore. Like I used to drink a lot of Rolling Rock bottles in college, but they stopped making it in the green bottles. Yeah. Now it's just cans.
Heineken and Grolsch. I have a Mere Pond Pale Ale because I needed feel good beer. So there it is.
I don't even want to drink a beer, man. I've had kind of a bad night, not Bobcat football, sports related, just other things. So I was kind of grumpy getting on this podcast. So I was like, I'll just take any beer to pick me up. So feeling better now, though. Now that we hit the record button, it like brightened my mood. Recording the worst podcast we're going to record all season, and somehow I'm happier than I was before we started recording it.
Well, there was a little kick in the nuts again right when we were watching the Bobcat basketball team lose on a miss.
You're just trying to bring me down, man. It's just all you're trying to do right now.
It happened to me all week. I said earlier, Joe Burrow gets hurt. We get smoked in the Cat Griz. We lose that, and then I just lost my fantasy matchup by 0.4 of a point, all within like 4 days. Holy cow!
Did your pet's head fall off?
Has it fallen off?
That's the final straw.
What are we doing here, man?
Yeah, Bobcats lose at home to Green Bay after Robert Ford single-handedly comes back in regulation and sends it to overtime. We're down by 1, and a beautiful, I think it was a feed, I'm not sure, but how Gorecki got the ball. He went up for a layup with like 1 second left on the clock. Wide open layup, too hard off the glass, bounced off the front of the rim, lost the game. It's like, no, it's a layup,
microcosm.
man.
of how I feel as a Bobcat fan right now.
Yeah, man. Not to spend too much time on this, but what did we finish 3-point land in that game? 7 of 35, baby. It's not going to win too many basketball games.
At one point, it was 3 for 23. So got hot at the end, Ryan. So, but I do have to reflect on what my sister said earlier this week. And goes, Sarah, how are you feeling? She goes, I feel bad, but it always feels good to be a Bobcat. I was like, there you go.
I'll take that. I need that kind of energy here today.
Yeah. At least we're not Griz.
Man.
All right. Well, we'll get into the FCS final rankings. Montana State took number 5 in the nation. Idaho is number 4. South Dakota number 3. Montana's up to number 2. South Dakota State number 1. North Dakota State came in at number 8. Furman's number 7. I'm all over the place on here. Apparently, I don't like to go in order. Anything else? Sac State went down from 8 to 15. They lost the Causeway Classic to UC Davis, and UC Davis makes a sneak into the top 25 at number 25.
But does not make the playoffs.
Nope.
2 years in a row, winning their final games, playing good football in the end, finishing 7-4, missing the playoffs. Poor Aggies.
They won the Causeway Classic last year as well.
Maybe they lost last year. Maybe that's what cost them. They started like 0-4 and then won like 6 games in a row and then lost the Causeway Classic. I think is what it was.
All right.
So either way, bummer for them. But some of those things,
UC Davis, man.
some of those kinds of things, like UC Davis winning, Furman losing. I mean, there's things that help the Bobcats get a seed. Because you and I, at least I had talked about on our instant reaction show, I thought the Bobcats played themselves out of a seed for sure.
Yeah.
So when we got the 6th seed, I was pretty surprised by that. I think some other teams losing kind of helped the Cats a little bit. But
I know I was sitting in church and then my phone was blowing up and we were like, "Oh my gosh, we got a 6 seed!" You and Zach were like, "Wow!" And then a couple minutes later, like, "Oh no, we're playing North Dakota State."
Yep,
I'm so deflated now.
Yep, I feel like it's a little bit of a backhanded compliment from the committee giving us the 6th seed, but then giving us the Bison. But it's a home game. Yeah. We've been talking about playing the Bison at home forever. Here's our chance. We're gonna have a chance to, show that we can beat the Bison at home and that we're still an elite team.
Yeah, Montana State has a lot ahead of them. And what do you want to do right now? You want to get into the stats, or before we start riffing on the game?
Yeah, we'll do the stats first, but before we get into anything like that, finishing up the news segment, I guess we could kind of where we are. No press conference today from Vegan, so no Foley and Fisher fashion watch. There we go.
I saw Fisher on the basketball game. He was sitting behind the players' bench, I believe.
Nice. Guy's a fan. He gets to show up with his signs. Love it. We just get to watch on crap ESPN Plus feeds.
It would be awkward if it wasn't him, though, but
yeah,
I do believe it was.
And Connor Moore, the freshman left tackle. Is he tackle or guard?
Yes.
Tackle?
He's tackle.
He's a finalist for the freshman All-American. I believe it would be FCS Stats. I'm not sure which organization is doing that, but he is a finalist for the freshman of the year. So that's pretty exciting. There's some good news coming out of the season for the Cats.
Do you like Gilman on the list as well?
Yep, he's the other guy I noticed on Twitter today. I didn't see a lot. I didn't look at the list. I just happened to, see the socials pumping out Connor Moore and Eli Gilman.
There it is. All right, good for him, Connor Moore. I mean, when he bumped Rush Reimer from left tackle, I knew something was up. And we had heard all offseason how nasty in a good way he is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like if he took that spot, that means he's further in development than they thought, because I think that was kind of like the dream scenario for the staff. If he was good enough to take that spot, then he can move Reimer around, and then you're really cooking with gas.
I thought he had some learning bumps early on in the season, but he's progressed really nice.
He's gotten a lot better. He's mean, he's big. He brings that kind of the toughness, that kind of nasty streak that some of you love to see in an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Alrighty.
Let's get into the stats from this garbage game in Missoula. Bobcats let's travel to the brawl of the whatever. Thanks, Clifton McDowell. 7 of 37. We on the scoreboard there. Let's go down. The first downs. Cats only mustered up 13 first downs. The Griz had 22. Cats 1 for 10 on third down. 1 for 10. And a lot of questionable play calling, I thought, on third downs. The Griz 7 to 14, so 50%. So that's pretty good for the Griz. Cats 0 for 4 on fourth down. So if you're keeping score at home, that's 1 for 14 on combined third and fourth down conversions. You're not going to win very many football games doing that. 280 total yards of offense for the Bobcats, 430 for the Griz, including 228 through the air on 19 to 25. There we go. Team is completing a high percentage against the Cats ever since we started playing soft defense. 9.1 yards per pass. No interceptions. 202 rushing yards for the Griz on 40 attempts for 5.1 yards per carry. So a pretty good day on the ground for the Griz. And rounded back to the Cats. Just 67 yards passing on 4 of 16 passing, 4.2 yards per pass. And then the interception when Tommy was just trying to do much too late in the game, which it wouldn't have mattered anyway, but forcing a pass in there. 213 yards on the ground is the lone okay spot from this game on 35 attempts. If you'd have told me that we would have had 6.1 yards per carry on 35 attempts for 213 yards, I thought, okay, we would have had maybe a chance to win this football game, but nope, didn't matter one iota. 6 penalties for the Cats for 38 yards. Griz had 8 penalties for 75 yards. The Griz were penalized more. And then 34 minutes, almost 35 minutes of time of possession for the Griz to just 25 for the Cats.
All right. Let's see. I was a little bit lost there. Red zone. Montana State was 1 for 2. U of M was 6 for 6. There's a kick in the old cojones for you. Sacks, Montana State had 4 sacks, though, for 15 yards. We were only sacked 1 for 14. Field goals over 1. They were 3 for 3 for field goals. Oh my gosh. I'm just getting mad. Just thinking about that.
You're already mad?
Second half field goal. Going right into the half field goal.
That was partially blocked.
Oh.
I saw a replay of it today on Twitter. I didn't notice at the time. I think somebody got a finger on it.
Tommy Malott was 4 for 13 with 67 yards. Didn't have any passing yards in the first half, by the way. Thank you, Taylor House, right?
Damn.
He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception on a bad decision, but he was 10 for 108 on the ground. Sean Chambers was 0 for 3. Paging Sean Chambers to come into the game. Julius Davis was 14 for 114. Scott Trey Humphrey was 5 for 15. Danny Yu led us all with tackles, with 12 tackles, and he had 2 tackles for a loss. Askelson had 9 with 1 tackle for a loss. Rylan Ort had 11 total with 1 sack. Let's see here. Seabass had 7 total with 1 sack. Grebe had 3 total with 1 sack. Paul Brott, had 2 totals with 1 sack, and Sticks Hall was 4 punts for 157 with a 39.2 average. Seemed to be considerably down from the last couple games. And let's see, Clifton McDowell had 17. He was 17 for 22 with 1 touchdown for 200 yards and 12 for 74 with another touchdown. And Eli Gilman was only 11 for 36, but he did have a touchdown. There are your stats.
He had 36 yards?
Yeah.
Gosh, it seemed like he had more than that.
He had 11. Yeah, he only had like 3-point-some yards per carry.
He had a long of 8 yards. Besides the 64-yard touchdown run by Osmo, they didn't have a lot of like big explosive plays in the run game. Gilman had a long of 8, Childs along with 6, Bergen along with 7, McDowell along with 20, but he probably had a whole bunch in that like 10 range. I guess probably not. He had 12 for 69, so I don't know.
Your worst nightmare. It was 3rd and 7.
I mean, there's
catching up.
Yeah, they're big. They're big stat. And you look at the running the ball, and they had 200 yards and 5.1 yards per carry, but they had that 64-yard touchdown run that kind of just, when the game was starting to wear down, that kind of pads it a little bit. Yeah, you look at the stats, and it's like, how they score so many points? It's not like blowing the doors off or anything like that. The stats aren't.
No, it's because Montana State went 1 for 2 in the red zone, and they went 6 for 6 in the red zone. We were able to move the ball between 20s, but we couldn't do crap when we got into the red zone.
No, and I'm trying to find that right now. What has been our red zone offense? Which the Big Sky Conference, I think, has always screwed up their red zone offense. I don't know what metric it is. I think they just go by who scored the most. Yeah, it's just they just have it. No, I don't know. I don't know how it's sorted. If you want to sort it by percentage, Montana State's like 6th in terms of like scoring percentage in the red zone. Red zone defense, Bobcats are 9th.
Whew.
Actually,
I wonder what we were last year.
Let's sort that by percentage. We're 9th. I don't know what we were last year, but we're 87% of the time opponent gets in the red zone, they score. And
so MSU is still number 1 in scoring offense, and number 2 in scoring defense.
Yeah, I mean, 37 points is the most we've given up all year, and that's a lot. It's a lot of points, but it's for the league that we've seen other teams score points in this league. Like that's not that many points compared to other. Did you like that Northern Arizona Eastern Washington finale? What did that end up being? What was the final score in that? That was like 50-50 at some point or something crazy. Maybe it was on the 40s, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I can see the scoring defense being okay statistically for the Cats, but it's just didn't trend well there at the end, I guess.
Yeah, man. There's winners and losers in this game, and the losers is the coaching staff for Montana State. I'm just going to say it straight up. They did nothing, absolutely nothing to win this game for Montana State. It was a piss poor performance by the coaching staff, namely Taylor Housewright.
See, I just don't know enough about what went wrong. I can't sit there and say like the players, like they didn't tackle. Nobody could tackle. Yeah. I mean, okay. Is that Willie Matt Garza's fault if nobody can maybe make a tackle?
Maybe it's Coach Vegan's fault for not practicing tackling. Who knows, right?
Who knows? Like that's right. I don't know.
It's been an issue though. It's been an issue, hasn't been solved. So that's on the coaches as well.
That's true. That's true. Maybe we're just not as talented as we thought we were.
Where's Sean Chambers in this game?
So, yes, if we're going to get to the offense, that is the one thing that if that's a game plan, if that's Housewright or Vegan, I don't know. Sean Chambers needs to play more football. He needs to, at the very least, use him the same way we've been using him for the majority of the year. The big one to me, and I think this is the one where I texted you and Zach, like, this is the angriest I've been this entire year. Like I told you, I already kind of went through my anger phase. I think it was the 4th and 2 or 4th and 3. We had like a first down run for like 9 yards. Then we went backwards like two yards. And it was like 4th and 3. And then we threw a stupid fade. I think it was to Hunter Province. I don't even, is it Province? I'm not entirely sure how to say his name. But we threw another fade to him like towards the end zone. It's like bring in Sean Chambers and go up the middle. If you don't get 3 yards, then darn. But that is like a high percentage play. The thing that is irritating to me about the fades, they haven't worked at any point this year.
No.
So why do we keep trying them? This isn't the game to keep trying something that hasn't worked. And maybe it's not something you work on and hopefully it starts working. You're not practicing. This is a game you need to win. The Big Sky championship was on the line. Forget the Griz. This was a championship game and we didn't show up. And play calling like that, is that Tommy Housewright? That's where I don't know whose call that is. Or that might have been the same play too, where Tommy dropped back and then decided to throw the pass. And I haven't rewatched the game and I didn't rewatch much of it, but there was one 4th down conversion I remember where Tommy dropped back and it looked like there was a huge hole up the middle. Where he could have scrambled for 4 yards.
Yeah,
in his sleep, like he could go.
He could have
walked backwards for 4 yards.
Yep. Exactly.
So there's some stuff like that's not Housewright's fault if Tommy's not going to run on an open lane on a 4th down. Is he committed to the pass?
Man, no, it's not. But it's stupid. Like you said, we have 2 yards to get. Sean Chambers is the best at getting 2 yards in the whole damn conference. Run the damn ball.
I agree. Yeah,
you know why we're 4th and 3 instead of like 3rd and 1, or excuse me, 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 1 is because Alex Gubner's smoking our freaking center and just blowing up the plays in the backfield. He's an elite talent. It's almost like he knew what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know. He easily tossed aside Perkins a couple times.
Oh, it was almost like he was ahead of the snap count.
Yeah.
I was like, how does he get back in the field that fast?
Yeah, Perkins didn't even have his hands back up after snapping the ball before Gumner was already pushing past him. It's crazy.
Some of that's because of this play clock. You're like, okay, they're going to run the play clock down to 1 or 2. They're going to have to snap the ball. I'm going to jump this. Like, that's easy, dude.
Yeah.
I
don't know. There's some great individual plays by the Griz defense for sure. But it's like, it's still like, like you do what you do. And if the Griz stop it, then you tip your cap to them.
Exactly.
And that's what's frustrating to me is these big games, the Griz, Idaho, South Dakota State. It's like, we just don't do what we do against every other team. And I don't know. No. I don't know if it's a game plan where we don't get enough plays in, like the play count's not high enough to start kind of getting further into that game plan, but it's like, it looks different from the start. And it's just not cohesive.
No. And we can't play from behind, apparently. We don't know what to do when we're playing from behind. Get down 2 scores, it's over. Well, Montana State has so much to work on right now. Absolutely so much to work on. They have so many decisions. If Montana State is wise right now, they shut off everything. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to anybody in the media. We're just going to be blowing all of our smoke out. They need to focus it on themselves and make some changes. Tackling, number 1. How do you make sure that tackling gets addressed? How do we put more pressure on the quarterback? One of the main things I thought that we missed was the very first drive of the game. We got the very first drive, the very first series, Thorny. We put Clifton McDowell on 3rd and 7 on the very first series when they started. And you know what we did? We dropped 8 and rushed 4. You want to put a moment in the game where you seize momentum early on, you bring the house and put him on his ass. We did not do anything like that. We rushed 4 and dropped 8, and he completed a 14-yard pass to Aaron Fonts for a first down and quieted any hopes that Montana State was going to just put him on his butt the rest of the game. That's when you send the message, man. That's when you send it. We didn't do any of that crap right away, and that just fires me up.
Hindsight's 2020. Like, what if we send the house and they score an 80-yard touchdown
Who
pass
cares?
instead?
Then you put the message that we're going to smoke you once in a while.
Then you're on this podcast complaining that we were too aggressive.
No, I will never complain that we're too aggressive.
Yeah.
We never complain.
We got to get more aggressive. We have to.
Yes.
Like, you are absolutely right. It's driving me crazy, this bend, but also break defense. It's like if you bend but don't break and you bow up in the 20s and you have a good red zone defense, that's one thing. I don't like that defense. I hate that kind of defense, but it's better than giving up long touchdown drives time and time again that you don't make them punt the ball or settle for field goals. It's like this, like I said, the bend, but mostly break also. It's frustrating.
It's the same argument you made with the offense right there. If they beat us when we were giving us the best, when we're giving them the best, then fine, you beat us. Tip your hat to the Grizzlies. But there's so many calls where you're like, man, what are we doing? Why aren't we sending something right here? Send the message. Take the momentum. Now's the time. Now's the place. Do it now. Coach Vegan said in his presser last week, we want to play on our toes, not on our heels. Well, guess what? I didn't see a lot of us playing on our toes.
No, that was nothing but heels. And that was kind of both sides.
Yeah.
Well, it frustrates me, and I don't know where the fault lies with this, but it didn't seem like very many guys were fired up to be there.
Yeah, that's on Coach Vegan.
And a few guys tried to get fired up, and a few guys showed some passion, and no one else responded to it. I remember Blake Stillwell getting all amped up after something. I'm like, there we go. But then no one I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it. Was anyone congratulating him or getting fired up too, or is it just him kind of roaring on his own off to the side? I don't know. It didn't seem like too many people were there with their hair on fire, ready to lay it on the line for the Big Sky Championship game.
Yeah. I don't know.
And people love to blame.
We have seen
coaches for that kind of stuff, but I don't know how much of that falls on coaches.
Yeah, some of it's you just gotta want it, and that's the want to part. We've seen Coach Vegan in the stuff that MSU puts out where he's saying twist the knife in him, or play for the brother next to you, sacrifice, go hard as heck, and he's just getting juiced, and you're like, yeah, I love that. Didn't see any of that.
No, you hear about it a lot. How Vegan's definitely different in the locker room than he is in the media, and you see that in the little snippets from time to time. You don't get a glimpse into it much, but I think he's much more fiery than you think he is. But you don't know. I don't know what happened in this one.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't know. I didn't love either game plan, and then the execution of the game plans wasn't good either. So
no.
It's easy to say the game plan didn't work, but if Tommy's missing throws or he's throwing into tight coverage everywhere instead of if Tommy's making the wrong reads, or if offensive linemen are just missing their blocks and defenders aren't tackling anybody, game plans aren't very good if it can't be executed. Even if the game plan stinks, some of the players didn't give him much of a chance.
No. Last week you said mixing the chilies was the best we've had all year.
Well,
I think Zach even mentioned that as well. We didn't do any of that.
No
mixing the chilies this camp.
That's the most simple thing for me to understand as a guy who doesn't know a lot about football. Sean Chambers needs to touch the ball more. Period. I don't care how you do it. And it's just like, that's what's been working. And then we play these games and then we're just like, where's Sean? Where's Sean Chambers? Has anyone seen Sean Chambers? It drives me bonkers.
Anything different. Just do something different. Golly. So
you are fired up. Look at you go.
It's almost insanity. Like, we all know that definition, right? Everybody says it. And it's just, hey, it wasn't working. Let's do something different. Put a new look out there. Call a different play. I do believe some of it's on Tommy Mellott. You're right. On some of those fourth downs and third downs, he could have easily scrambled. We could have used his legs a little bit more. However, the play call is the play call. Like you said a couple of weeks ago, man, you're like, you don't have to call that play call. If it's an RPO, you don't have to call the play call.
Well, didn't they say
Julius Davis, who was one of the guys they couldn't stop?
Didn't they say after the Idaho game that they were going to take some of the decisions out of Tommy's hands? Did I hear that somewhere, or is that just me misremembering something?
No, I don't know. You didn't say that. But here's the deal. I'm just gonna say this. We haven't been enthused with our defense for 2 years now. There was a time early on in this season where we're like, man, defense is looking better. And we were like, who thought about that? You go back and you look about who we were playing. You're like, okay, we looked stellar at Weber State.
Yeah, stellar against Weber State. I thought it looked really good against South Dakota State, minus like one or two drives. But overall, like, that gave me hope. Like, this defense is like tough and physical. We were blitzing more. We had Drew Polidor. We had Rylan Orton making plays. It's like, there we go. Garza. Exactly. And you and I heard all offseason how the players are responding well to Garza's scheme. And that was kind of showing up in the first few games. Like, all right, here we go. And then something's just happened. Like, they're not terrible. I don't want to say the defense is terrible. Like, we're not anywhere near where we were, like, in those later Ash years or anything like that. We're not going to be, like, we're still probably like the top 4 defense in the Big Sky. But and that's fine, I guess. But the offense is, the defense. Let's just put it this way: the defense hasn't won a game for us this year. That's a complete change. The defense has had to win football games for Montana State since Jeff Choate came. Now it's all the offense. Now we're so reliant on the offense that the defense, they're not capable of winning a football game for us. I feel like if it's coming down the line and it's going to be the other team's got the ball with 2 minutes left and the defense has to make a stop, I'm not sure I have a lot of faith that we're going to.
So what are you going to do? What would you want to see Montana State do differently?
You just gotta be more aggressive.
Exactly.
Just sending 4 guys and sitting back in like a soft coverage or a coverage man combination. Like, I don't know. It's just not working. I'm just tired of all these 7-minute touchdown drives against the defense.
Yeah.
And you're never going to force a turnover if you're just sitting there waiting for the play to come to you.
The Montana State does these wide splits with their defense to do like stunts and whatnot. Montana countered that by splitting out their offensive linemen wide as well, which leaves huge gaps, as you would probably imagine in your head. We didn't do anything with those.
Say that and send a delayed Rylan Wirt.
Yep.
I love delayed blitzes, man. I'm a huge fan of delayed blitzes.
Yep. Send Danny you. Send something. Make them look. Make them think. Like I said, if we get beat because we're too aggressive, then we got beat.
The thing that stood out to me on the defense, too, is the interior is not making any plays. Valdez and Schmidt, which I thought were one of the best duos in the league, they've largely been pretty quiet the last half of the season.
Taking on double teams a lot, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, you still got to have So if they're doing the double teams, then you got to send somebody. You got to send a blitz. They're freeing up somebody to come in. But if you're not sending anybody, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just
What
don't
good
know
is
how
eating
about
up a double
tackling.
team if you're not going to have any guys around to take advantage of that? I don't know.
Grab their freaking leg and hold on. Just Clifton McDowell is just like pushing us off each other. How many missed tackles do we have on that first drive?
I don't know.
All right. So yes, either Coach Vegan needs to make some sort of adjustment with the defense and say, "Hey, Coach Garza, this is what we need." Here's the deal, though, Thorny. I'm not going to call for anybody's job, but if Montana State comes out and their only adjustment at North Dakota State, let's assume North Dakota State wins, is to play harder and be more gap sound, that ain't it, brother. Something's got to happen in the offseason that's going to change because that ain't it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some fire and some effort would go a long ways.
It's not going to solve it, man.
It's not going to solve
We're talking more
but
scheme.
I want to see him play harder and with more fire, more passion.
Why not in the Cat Griz game when the conference championship's on the line?
That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. Nobody looked like they were. This is kind of a cliche, but one team wanted it, and one team didn't, and we didn't look like we wanted it.
As a player, how's that not register? Even if your coach is, let's say the coach is the most vanilla coach, the Rob Ash of all Rob Ashes. You're playing in the freaking Cat Griz with the conference championship on the line. You don't need an adult to tell you to get fired up for this thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Maybe the moment was just too big, man. It's a big stadium. It was rocking. Cat Griz.
Too big?
The moment too big, yeah. Pressure, man.
You're a freaking Division I football player. You're like stars of the freaking town. Get up for it, man.
Come on, man. Come on.
No. Don't tell me to come on.
You haven't played in a single sport in that kind of environment your entire life.
No, and I never will.
It's easy to sit there and say that it's not going to
else are you going to get up for?
You. I didn't say that they weren't.
Grizzlies could.
I didn't say they didn't get up for it. I'm saying that they were intimidated. It's a lot of pressure, man. Why do you think Washington Grizzly? Why do you think people can't win in that stadium?
Because the crowd. It's too loud.
Yeah, and I
don't think they get scared. I don't think they get scared. What are they gonna do? It's not like a Roman battlefield out there where they're gonna kill you. It's just football, man.
Your argument is Washington Grizzly Stadium is so good because it's loud. It's louder than other stadiums, and they can't hear anything.
There's the momentum factor. I don't think they get scared, is what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm not saying they get scared. I'm saying that it can be intimidating.
Intimidating, scared.
So you don't believe in people shrinking from the moment? You don't think that's a thing that happens in sports?
Yeah, sometimes, but a whole unit.
That's what's crazy about football, man. So once that happens, it's like a whole team. It's like a cancer that comes over the team. I've seen it, man. I've watched a lot of sports in my life. It happens it happens in basketball. One guy misses a shot, and then the whole team can't make a shot. You think that's just some sort of weird? I don't know. I can't think of any words right now. Psychological thing that happens to multiple people in the same space.
So I want Coach Daly calling the calls for defense going forward. That's on me. I'll accept that. And then I would like for...
What do you mean? You want him to call the defense for North Dakota State?
Yeah. So Coach Daly called it in the... called them all in the playoffs last year. Coach Garza got his DUI.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Mix it up, man. We got to do something different. That's not the answer. We got to do something different. You said it. Be more aggressive. Send more looks. Attack.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I don't agree with demoting a coordinator.
Yeah, well,
for a playoff game, the biggest playoff game we've had. It's big in terms of if you don't win this game, there's a lot of questions and a lot of heat coming your way.
Yeah, there is.
So it's an important game because if you win this game and then you lose the next game, that's not great. But I think people beating the Bison would kind of take some of the sting out of this loss. If we lose to the Griz and then get rolled up at home by the Bison and it ends our big winning streak at home, there's going to be a lot of pissed off Bobcat fans.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to account for. Maybe we'll get some changes, right?
Oh, yeah.
It could happen.
That could happen. And I've been trying to keep that kind of discussion, the whole, what are we going to do in the offseason discussion? Because unlike some people on Bobcat Nation, I actually am enjoying that we still have some football left to play and still hopeful that we can win some playoff football games.
What do you think the tact of Taylor Housewright about him just being like berating his players on the side of the line?
Well, why are you asking me that question for?
Well, because it's something people are talking about. What do you think about it?
I don't know, man. It's football. Coaches yell at players. I'd have to see it to know if it's any worse than the other coaches yelling at players. Yeah.
I just think it's kind of crap leadership, to be honest.
I know. And I feel like you're just trying to pile on right now, and I'm not going to take the bait. That's what I feel.
Okay.
I don't know. Housewright's got to also figure something out on offense, because changing the game plan, going away from what works, not playing Chambers. Maybe he's too attached to Malott. Who knows, man? But something's. It's hard to. It's like we're 8-3, and we had 2 really close losses to 2 really good teams, and then we lose to the Griz, and all of a sudden, like, the whole house is crumbling. So it's hard to, like, for me to go too far off the deep end off of this loss.
Yeah, but the thing is, I get that, and I totally get that, and I don't think I would be as fired up as I am as if it wasn't that it just felt a lot like the Idaho game where we felt outmatched, like we got punched early. I mentioned this last week. What are we going to do when we get punched early? Well, we did. We did not respond.
No. That first Griz drive was like pretty ominous, pretty bad omen.
Yeah. We needed to punch.
Yeah. It looked.
We missed two things in that drive that would have made a huge difference. Like I said, number one, if we would have blitzed on that 3rd and 7, that very first 3rd and 7, and we just put McDowell on his butt. That sends a message that takes the momentum right there and there. Hey, you're playing the Bobcats. You better bring it because we're bringing it. We didn't. And they got a 14-yard first down. Just killer. I remember you texting me on that. You're like, Zach, Like, it's just like that moment you knew. You're like, that was a statement moment that we missed. Primed.
It was kind of
attack.
Yeah, to me, it was like, statement opportunity, like you're saying. But to me, it was just a signal that, any hope that you had that the defense was going to come out and with any different scheme or more aggressiveness, it was dashed right there. It's like, nope, there we go. That's the same defense we've been seeing.
There's a second moment. And this one was when they got down in the red zone and there was that fumble and the ball bounces back to the Griz.
Brutal.
If it goes to the Cats.
That would have changed the game.
Yeah. For the moment. Who knows what happens after that? But I kind of feel like the Cats need a moment where they feel like they have the momentum. And then that could have been that thing where the projections were like, okay, we're going. We just needed that. So they needed something to hang their hat on. They didn't. So we got scored on, go with 3 and out. Cool. Man, you can't get a 3 and out right there. Cannot get a 3 and out right there. And then another kind of huge swing of momentum was we came out of the half. We actually score. We're like, all right, let's go. And then Brendan Hall kicks it to the 1-yard line. Out of all the times he doesn't put it through the back in the end zone.
Kick it out of bounds, man. I don't care.
Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. Bergen takes it 50 yards, and then 3 plays later, it scores on like a 20-yard touchdown. You're like, oh, my gosh. They just answered our answer with exactly what they wanted to do.
With the nice aggressive play calling.
Exactly.
They knew they needed to squash the momentum that we had, and they went aggressive for it. They have a lot of kudos to Houck and staff after this tough start they had in the year where their offense was looking just awful. Like if the Cats play the Griz in September anywhere, the Cats win that game. They got things going. They figured things out. They got their personnel. They put their guys in a position to do what their guys can do well. Like McDowell he's not a guy who's going to throw for 400 yards a game. He's not going to beat you with his arm, but he's going to move the chains. He's going to make plays. And they realized that, and they've adjusted. They've all tweaked their game plans, and they've gotten better and better. And I feel like we're still trying to figure out what kind of team do we want to be when we play a top 5 team. I know what team we want to play when we play a team that we have way more talent than. How do we want to match up against a top team? I feel like we are going to the same things that aren't working. I feel like our identity changes, and I don't like that. Yeah, it's just a sad day. It was a sad day in general. Like the game was over relatively quick. There was moments where you thought maybe if we do this, if we do that, but did you think we were going to do any of the things?
What's with the proclivity of these games just being blowouts in the last couple of years?
I don't know. I think they're just so emotional, and I think the stadiums and the home crowds play part of it. The players get there, the opposing team gets there, and the home team makes a punches you right in the mouth, and it's just like it's a steamroll. It's just a boulder rolling downhill at that point.
Now the worst thing is we just succumb to the number 2 seed to the Montana Grizzlies, and they have a freaking cakewalk to the semifinals.
Yeah, you can't be mad at them. You'd be mad at us for losing that opportunity.
I can be mad at them, Thorny. Don't tell me what I can feel or not feel. Quit giving the Grizzlies so much freaking applause on this freaking on this podcast, man.
I think it's stupid to say like, oh, the Grizz were rewarded with the cake. Well, they should be. They beat our ass. They should be rewarded with the easy path to Frisco. That's what the 2 seed's supposed to be. That's what the 2 seed is supposed to be, Foley.
Okay, maybe. But before we even start recording, you're like, who have they played? They've had a soft schedule.
Yeah, I said that they've had some softer games in general. They haven't played an elite defense. I'm curious to see what they're going to have. See, here you are just trying to drag me back. You're just trying to get me to say stuff, man.
You're too nice sometimes, man. I'm trying to get a little juice out of you once in a while. There's some stuff that should make you mad.
I am mad.
Like Taylor Housewright should make you mad right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I say off the podcast and what I say on the podcast are different things.
All right, man.
I don't want this to be the outlet where I just turn into the game day thread on Bobcat Nation. All right? I try and be a little bit of the voice of reason sometimes. I think that's kind of the obligation of this podcast, not to go too far off the deep end. At least my role sometimes.
Oh, you're calling me the guy that's up and down.
I got to rein you in sometimes.
Jeez.
There's no wrong feeling to be feeling right now after this game, man. We got our butts kicked, and it pisses me off. And that's 2 in a row that we've gotten smoked in Missoula. And Tommy Olot had a worse statistical game than Matt McKay did last time, which is just blowing my mind. The guy that got benched and quit the team had a better game than the guy that replaced him. That's just. Ugh.
All right. So and now, do you think Coach Ving will do something akin, or will we make any changes going into North Dakota State? That's the thing I want to know. So Montana State has to have a circle the wagon type of moment. I said this back when the Grizzlies got beat by NAU. I go, man, they're going to have to circle the wagons. And guess what they did? They did exactly that. And if we don't do something different, if we don't look internally and say, what did we do wrong? And I'm sure he's going to say that because he says that every week. If you listen to his press conference, if you get past the fashion advice that I give you, Coach Vegan talks about being reflective and being this and that. He's like, and he says all the right things, but I haven't seen the improvement on the defense. In fact, our defense has gotten worse throughout the season. The passing defense has markedly gotten worse throughout the season. So why isn't that changing? Are we actually reflecting on that? Are we self-scouting? Are we doing anything different? Why isn't our tackling starting to get worse throughout the season? Is that a us thing? Is that a them thing? Is that an effort thing? Tom Stuber was on Bobcat Nation today saying tackling's kind of like getting rebounds. You just got to want it.
Yeah.
Is that, and I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So why is that not in our players? Yeah. So offense, are we having some issues with personnel? Is there bad relationships right now? That's the thing. If there's cancer inside the Bobcat locker room, I'm not saying there is, but if there's coaches and players that are not getting along, coaches and coaches not getting along, You got to figure that out.
Squash
You gotta
that beef,
lay
man.
that.
We only got one more guaranteed chance in this season.
You got to bury the hatchet, put your differences aside, and play for the blue and gold.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that, man. We got to have guys who just don't want to go out like that. We have a smaller senior class, but you got to have those seniors rallying the troops like, hey, we're not going down like this, man. This isn't our last game. Okay.
No.
We're not going to go out without a fight. They got to be instilling that. We have to have Vegan chewing some people out, chewing some coaches out, chewing some players out. Like he's got to light a fire somehow.
Yeah, I think
the team
a lot
needs
of this
fire.
is on him.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. I'm not willing to agree or disagree with that statement right now, which is about as much of an indictment as I can give right now. Like I can't argue that.
I was at work today, and we always tend to say, in vegan we trust. But today I was like, I don't know, man. There's some of this that's on his shoulders. You are the leader of this program. Leadership reflects, or the players reflect leadership. I'm just still heated about this, obviously. So
yeah,
I'm going to step back. I think Montana State's at a pivotal moment right now. And like I said earlier, I think this could be one of the best things for us.
I hope you're right, man.
Take this kick in the balls and make it rocket fuel for us. Just go forward, hair on fire.
We have a big opportunity to wash it out of our mouth.
We have the players. That's the thing. The talent is there. We have amazing talent. Use it in productive ways.
I like what you're saying, man. There's some positivity in the end, a little bit. How do you feel? You feel any better? You're still just angry? Where are you?
Man, I don't know. It's been a week for me, so it'll take me a while.
Yeah,
it'll take me a while. You know, and the Cats lose. Let's say this: if Cats lose against North Dakota State again, I'm just going to assume it's North Dakota State. If Cats come out and get smoked by North Dakota State, or if you even lose a close one, I think it's going to be good for the Cats too, because that means changes have to come. Because this is just not it.
Yep.
You lose a first round or second round game, that's not Bobcat football. So one way or the other, changes are coming, Thorny.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we will cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, I just want to root for some Bobcat football. Hopefully more than one more time. Hopefully a few more times.
All right.
No more talking about Cat Griz. I think that probably is... got Thanksgiving coming up.
Feel free to text Ryan Foley if you want to continue talking Cat Griz.
Go on Bobcat Nation. Text Ryan. Text me. We can argue. I'll give you a little bit more uncut, thorny offline a little bit, which isn't a whole lot different, but it's a little hot takier sometimes.
It is. It can get a little spicy.
Well, during game day, yeah. If we recorded, like, can you imagine if we were like doing like a live show during the game? It would be just a disaster. You think I'm any better than the guys in the Bobcat Nation game day thread? I'm not. I just don't post on Bobcat Nation anymore. I just do it via text instead. But I usually calm down after a game. A lot better than I used to, man. I've gotten older as a sports fan mainly, and like you just learn to not let it rule your life so much.
Oh, shut up, man. You're so full of it.
I'm not, man.
You're so full of it,
I used to take it way worse. I'm not saying I take it great. I'm saying like me in my 20s, way worse after a loss. Like, don't talk to me for 2 days. Pissed off. Just a mess. I've just learned to like not control me quite as much as it used to. I'm not saying I'm healthy about it anyway. We're doing a podcast about sports. How healthy am I with my relationship with sports?
All right. Well, hey, what do you want to talk about next?
Let's answer some Golden Coolie questions and probably skip most of the bracket, or do we want to try and squeeze some bracket talk in here?
Do we even have Golden Coolie questions? Anybody do anything about Golden Coolie?
I got a few on Twitter. Well, they're going to be kind of things that we kind of covered.
Are you ever going to call it X?
No.
Does anybody call it X?
Elon Musk. And probably people who pay for Twitter might call it X. I don't know.
Okay, it looks like somebody did contribute to the Golden Coolies. It's on the first page. Smith427 says, realistically, is anyone on the Cats coaching for their job in this postseason?
I mean, I didn't want to talk about stuff in the offseason necessarily, but that's kind of I like the way that's phrased. So I would say probably yes to that.
Yeah.
I would say yes.
100%, man. OCDC on the line.
Yep.
I don't think Coach Vegan's on the line. He shouldn't be. He's been very successful. But
the fact that there's a Fire Vegan thread on Bobcat Nation is the most asinine thing I've seen on Bobcat Nation in one time. No. You want me to give a hot take calling for like Coach Vegan to be fired? That's ridiculous. And you should revoke your Bobcat fandom right there.
Well, I know where it's coming from, though. I know where it's coming from. Years of getting our butts whipped because of Rob Ash called it just another game. It's not FTG, it's BTG. And you and I are never FTG kind of guys. Like, I don't think we've ever put anything out there that said FTG on Twitter, or if you look at Cat or Common Cat, I've never appreciated that. But I do like the intensity behind that statement and the all of that. And so I people are still hurt. I'm still hurt from all those years of just getting our butts whipped.
See,
and not being competitive. I think that's what it is. I think it's just not being competitive in the game. Like this game, if we lost this game and it was a 1-score game or field goal or something like that, which doesn't seem to happen very often in college games. Or like we haven't been in a close one like that since South Dakota State, it feels like.
Or Idaho.
Yeah, I guess there's that.
So you're saying the 2 losses we had before this were exactly what you're hoping for, and if you're going to lose,
if we're going to lose, yeah, right. You're like, okay, if
we talked about,
let's be competitive.
Yeah, we talked about that for years, and then now that we have lost a couple games against like top 5, top 10 teams closely, now we're still pissed we're losing. It's like, hey, I have a question for you, and this is something that's been bugging me. Do you hold Mike Kramer in higher regard or Rob Ash in higher regard?
Mike Kramer, because
one is so much more successful on a national scale, and it's not even close. But everyone's going to hold Kramer in high regard because of Cat Griz.
So, I never liked Rob Ash.
Like
never. I was never a huge fan.
He won 3 straight Big Sky titles and won 2 playoff games, which is more than Kramer ever sniffed.
Yeah, I was never a huge fan of Rob Ash.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, like, it's clear that however much you want to deny it, people value Cat Griz victories more than playoff victories.
I always want my football coaches to have fire. I love Jeff Choate for that. There's something about just being the mean guy on the block I enjoy as a football.
I mean, it's football, man. That's kind of what you want from football. Football's a violent sport led by like violent, crazy people.
Yeah. There's a reason why I loved WWE as a kid, WWF and all that stuff. You know, and there's something in that I think innate in most guys. And so when you play a violent sport and you get led by someone characterized kind of like a Rob Ash, and we all know what I mean by that, it just doesn't match in my brain. And so I get it. He was really successful, but you like me will remember the losses more than all those victories. You like me remember getting your butts kicked on ESPN December 7th against Sam Houston State at night when we had Denarius McGee and everything was aligned right. And we weren't even competitive in that damn game. We actually got ESPN at Bobcat Stadium.
Which was a way bigger deal back then.
Yeah, exactly. Lights trucked in, everything set. No, we don't rise to that occasion. You're just like, yeah, that to me that's the picture I feel of Rob Ash.
Yeah. I mean, that's not totally wrong. But
December 7th, I remember the freaking day, Thorny.
The thing that's like, to me, if Brent Vegan followed Rob Ash, we'd be throwing a party even after this. It's because we followed a guy who did nothing but beat the Griz. So we got a little bit of a taste of that, and then Brent Vegan comes in, and now he's 1-2. Even though he took us to the national championship game, he took us to the semifinals in his first 2 shots, and he's got us at the 6th seed in year 3. There's a thread where people are talking about firing him.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And I'll be fair. 99% of the people in that thread are also saying it's ridiculous, but the fact that that thread's going on as long as it is, I mean, there's a few people out there that are like entertaining the idea. I find it
It's the crazies, man.
Ridiculous.
It's modern news cycle. It's Twitter.
Yeah. All right. A few questions on Twitter. Speaking of, which we started talking about like 5 minutes ago when you asked me about X. Stephen Aloysius asks us, screens are a blitz beater. How many screen plays have the Cats run all year? And how do they not have several against a heavy blitzing team? I don't know. It's like, we're not a screen team. Some teams just don't run screens. And I don't have a good answer for why. I don't know enough about football. But
I don't feel like screens work really well against the Grizzlies. They're just so aggressive in their tackling. So I'm not sure if
against the Griz, I prefer to run into the teeth of the blitz. Yeah, personally,
that's kind of what we had most success with, actually.
And it worked out all right. I think if you were to drop back for a screen pass, number one, I'm not confident we're going to catch it at this point. Number two, you probably just get the wide receiver blown up anyway.
Yeah, anything slow developing against the Grizzlies does not work.
No, and they're ready for it too. I think now, we haven't faced. I don't feel like we faced a lot of just real blitz heavy teams besides the Griz. I don't know. It's just we are so efficient in just pushing teams around, even if they're blitzing or picking up blitzes, that we just haven't had to run screens. We beat the blitzes in other ways. The other way to beat a blitz is to QB draw up the middle, and we're pretty good.
Do we have a 5-yard pass in our repertoire in our route trees? I'm just wondering. So
yeah,
I'd be interested in that.
Tight ends, which we stopped using. Man, part of the problem is Derek Snell and Trayton Pickering being hurt. Tight ends are so important in the Montana State offense. Not just blocking, but catching. This year, anyway. And instead, we're throwing passes to our fifth string tight end. How many blitzes did the Cats run on Saturday? He says he saw one in quarter one that resulted in a sack. Do you remember them blitzing anymore? I mean, no, we had a big rant about this already.
Sure, yeah.
I haven't rewatched the game. I don't plan on rewatching the game. There was not a lot of blitzing. But we just talked about we need to do that more. Roger Fisher asks us, Foley is the offensive coordinator. Thorny's a defensive coordinator. What's the first change you make? You got the easy one. I guess they're both kind of easy, at least in our viewpoints.
I implore. I give more touches to Julius Davis. I'm going to ride him as far as I can go. He's one guy that's been as the most consistent baller on offense. I start Chambers and just ride Chambers as much as I can too. If I come out of North Dakota State, Tommy's on the bench. I'm going with Chambers till Chambers doesn't produce. Give Tommy some range.
He's only playing when.
I mean, I still like Tommy a lot. I mean, people. Imagine there's a lot of listeners like Foley doesn't like Tommy. I actually do like Tommy, but we got to mix the chilies. And just to be honest with you, every time Chambers plays most of the game, we win. So I'm playing Chambers. I'm doing more intermediate passes. I'm going to attack the middle of the field and do more Julius Davis.
I'm not sure Chambers has lost any game that he's started.
Yeah, pretty damn good, turns out.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played against real big-time opponents, but he's won every game. Defensive coordinator, personnel-wise, nothing I changed there. I mean, I think everything's where it should be. Everybody's where they should be. I'm just being more aggressive, sending more blitzes. If I get burned, you get burned. But I'm tired of watching teams eat up 6-minute touchdown drives, 7-minute touchdown drives. So I'm blitzing. And I'm doing like more exotic blitzing, and I'm sending delayed blitzing because I already said that I like delayed blitzing.
So Thorny, you and I are not like educated defensive minds. No, we don't see coverages, and I can pick a coverage out once in a while. But when my eye sees the defense and I'm like, we look the same most of the time, that's probably not a good thing.
Maybe I'm running like a 4-3, man. Maybe I'm switching to a 4-3.
Yeah.
Three
They always
linebackers. We got
say-
relatively quick linebackers, at least a couple of them. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing that instead. Should try and stop the death by 1,000 paper cuts.
change the picture. You say that on offense, we could do it on defense as well.
The Mikes asks us, is this the perfect storm where we get an extra home game just to watch the streak die at the hands of North Dakota State? Don't be talking like that. Don't be talking like that. But unfortunately, the thoughts crossed all of our minds. But I'm not going to answer it.
I think North Dakota State reminds me right now of a little bit of the good version of Weber State.
Yeah.
I was combing through their scores yesterday. I was like, they're actually not like a rush 300 yards type of game or type of team. They're doing about 200, which is really good. But they're also passing for about 200. So they're kind of really balanced, like the Grizzlies in that case. But to me, they seem more physical, like a Weber State would be. I'm like, these guys, when I was trying to find an analogy or kind of a parallel to them, I was like, well, probably like Weber, but with Munoz. Like Cam Miller, right?
Yeah.
He's capable. He
Yeah.
hasn't had a great year. In fact, I do have a stat on him. He's had 14 touchdowns and about 700 some yards. So, I can't read my own handwriting.
Shocking. I don't know. We'll talk a lot more about them, but yeah, that would be the worst possible way to end the season. Have the home streak broken by a team like the Bison after getting blown out in Cactus.
Either way, changes are coming.
Worst offense or worst off season, ever. Real bad taste.
The worst thing would be like everybody gets retained and we just do the same thing all over next year. Like, no, we're just going to play harder again. We just got off our game. We'll try more. No. So,
Okay.
in a way, like, this is kind of funny though, Thorny. I was thinking about this today. Like, what was the criticism with the Grizzlies the last couple of years?
Didn't have any good quarterback play.
No, it wasn't just that. It was that they didn't make any adjustments. Like their offense wouldn't make an adjustment. Their defense was it was what it was. Very blitz heavy, but on the back end, they didn't do anything different. So teams were able to diagnose it and then attack it. And that's what Montana State did to the Grizzlies last year. Montana State feels a little bit like we're not making adjustments right now.
No, I could see that. Come out at halftime and maybe there's some adjustments, like a first nice scripted drive coming out of halftime or something. Seems like Idaho and Montana, we both came out and scored touchdown easily on the first drives of each of those halves. But then it didn't get a lot better, at least in the Cactus game. So yeah, adjustments, in-game adjustments seem to be kind of a problem for the staff. All right.
Simple thing like not getting so that last we didn't talk about the field goal right before half. The folly that was.
Oh, for the Griz, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh. There's so many mental errors in this game, man. And that's like, is that on the coaching? Like that's stupid stuff that players are jumping off sides. They're running into the kicker. It's like, what are we doing out there?
Twice.
Yeah. But those are hallmarks of you. If you know the phrase, like they're a well-coached team. We didn't look like a well-coached team. If you want to just go back to that basic analogy, we didn't look like a well-coached team. And maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe we're overanalyzing it. You can tell without knowing a lot of X's and O's when you just watch a football game if a team is like, quote, well-coached. I'm not sure I've been seeing that.
Good point.
The other questions we have on Twitter we have several others, but they're all exactly about why didn't Chambers play. So we've already kind of covered that, I think. I don't have an answer on why he doesn't play, other than it's a recurring theme in these big time games. And I'd love to know why. Because then Vegan will come out and say, like, Yeah, I'm not sure why we didn't use them, or the game plan was to use them more. Like, well, why didn't we use them more then, man? That's like, what? Okay, you learned your lesson at Idaho. Let's not do it again then, right? Right?
I was really hoping for a press conference today.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man,
I
it's not
was
going to happen.
disappointed that there wasn't one. But like
This
you
is
said,
the-
though, they need to just block it all out.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can talk to somebody who's at the QBC tonight. I'd like some answers, man.
He is doing QBC. That's interesting that he's actually doing that. I don't know why. I guess you would after a game, but it's like a bye week kind of. So I guess I don't know how it normally goes. We're not quarterback club members, obviously, which I want to be, but I feel like it would just make this podcast kind of harder about like what to say, what not to say, information that you would have. Like it gives us authenticity as just average Joe fans. I feel for quarterback club members, we're not. I mean, well, people ask us questions all the time about like what's the vibe in like the locker room, or people ask us questions like, dude, we're just two guys with like maybe like between the two of us like 2.5 okay sources that aren't even that well connected anyway. I don't know. I feel like we don't have a lot of sources. We don't have anybody on the inside. We're not there. We're not in Montana. We're not just two fans, man. And I think that works. I don't want to get too connected or too close.
Hey, I'll take a quarterback club membership.
Yeah.
Anybody want to fund that for me?
Yeah, I would love it.
Put Foley in there.
Don't.
I'll ask the tough questions.
No, I mean, I've done a couple of they invite people for like trials or whatever. So I've been to a couple remotely, and it's like, it's pretty sweet.
It is really.
Shout out to the quarterback club. If you got the means, please contact those guys and get involved.
Yeah, I would still consider it. I do every year. And we've talked about maybe sharing a membership if that was ever possible.
Yeah.
Could the R&R just get one membership?
Don't put that out there. It's probably not kosher. Sharing a Netflix password.
Oh, I feel like we've crossed a little boundaries on this episode anyway. So I don't know, man. I was pretty heated, and I think I needed that because today I was like, who do I talk to about this? Just like, oh, I'm going to talk to Thorny about this tonight, and so.
And then I wasn't as mad at you, or as mad as you. So sorry. I kind of already came to that phase, man. That's the silver lining of getting your butt kicked. You kind of accept it before the game's over.
See, I wanted you to come into the dark waters with me tonight to just, throw the crap around and wallow in it and play the victim role with me for a little bit.
I entertained you.
No, you just made me more mad because you're sitting back there going, well, I don't know. I see what you're saying. And I was like, no, agree with me. Say you're right. Pile it on.
Sorry.
Now's the time, Thorny.
I'll try and remember that next time that you're on a rant. I'll just like, hell yeah, brother. Just let you go.
Just stroking your beard back there going, yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. The Grizzlies are so good. Look at those guys. They're so good over there. That's what I was hearing you say.
I didn't say any of that, but it's
I know,
true.
but that's what I'm hearing you say.
They're playing really well. I like giving opponents credit, man. I do.
I know you do.
Especially when I feel like they kicked our butts. Like, they whipped us. That wasn't a case of the Bobcats beat the Bobcats. I think the Griz just smoked us. Even if we played better, the Griz played really good game of football.
Yeah. It's the total reverse of 2022, which was an amazing moment for us.
I know.
So,
Griz fans are just uncontrollably obnoxious on Twitter right now. I'm pretty much avoiding it. But we know that feeling, man. We were them last year, so it's a good feeling, and you wanna rub it in. You want to rub it in. Try to have some decency about it, but we're all fans. We're all diehard fans. You're gonna rub it in.
Cool thing for them is it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes because everybody roasted those guys and put them dead to rights after the AU.
That wasn't just Cat fans, man. Griz fans have been hearing it all year, and they are all just salty AF right now.
So I say that because Montana State could be in that moment now. This could be the catalyst that sends us on a trajectory of just greatness because we have the players, we have the fan base, we have everything in front of us to get it done. You just got to go do it.
Damn, that's what I like to hear. We got a football game coming up in 2 weeks. We got a football game coming up, a home playoff game. Don't take those for granted. I know everyone's sad. I know everyone's mad. Don't take it for granted. Go show the seniors the support they deserve. Let's go.
Let's go whip the Bison's butt, man.
Let's do it.
About time.
Revenge, man. We have an opportunity for a big-time revenge game here.
2010, put it on the screen. Make those guys watch it. I remember that feeling. I know exactly where I was.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you remember where you were?
No. I was watching on TV. I don't know where. I was out of Bozeman at the
I
time.
was with our friend Kyle Kinnick in Great Falls, watching it at some sort of bar on, oh gosh, I can't even remember that. It's been so.
Was it the halftime?
Yeah, the halftime. I was eating a plate of fries and just watching the comeback on the second half of that game. Just feeling just like, I can't believe this.
I don't even want my fries anymore. You finished my fries. I don't want these fries anymore.
Exactly.
I'm not hungry anymore.
I remember, man. I remember. Yeah, you remember the losses. That's the thing, man. That's what defines Coach Ash for me. Unfortunately, he was a good coach, but I never loved the guy.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. But have a chance to erase all that. Let's set it up. We're going to talk about it next week. Coach Vegan's going to come on. He's going to give his press conference looking all dapper. Going to be humble. He's going to tell us how they learned about all the stuff that they did wrong in the Cat Griz, and we're going to believe him, and we're going to be rah, 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 go Cats. And then we'll hope and wait with our fingers crossed that when it comes time on Saturday afternoon, let's go time. Only thing I wish it was a night game, man, because Bobcat Stadium at night can't lose.
That's true. That would be an epic atmosphere at night.
Yeah.
And it's still warm-ish.
The Grizzlies get the night game that night against whoever stupid team they get to play. But yeah.
Yeah, they get the winner of, I think it's Delaware and Lafayette. So,
all right. Your eyes full art. Can't lose. Let's do it, man. Let's go.
Right.
Let's run the table, man. Go back to Frisco. Let's do it. I want it so bad.
That's what happened last time we lost to the Griz in Missoula.
Let's go, baby.
Wait, nobody
Come
thought
on.
Nobody thought that was going to turn out the way it did.
See, look where I'm at now, man. We got to end this episode because I'm all happy right now. Let's go, baby.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for this crazy ride of an episode. That was an emotional roller coaster. Thanks everyone for listening all year. We appreciate that. Thanks to Gear Up Sports and Wilbur Ellis for being our awesome sponsors. We appreciate them. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on X, RRCatcast. You can find us on Bobcat Nation. He is Common Cat. I am Celtic Cat. You can find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. You can always shoot us an email if that's your thing, rrcatcast@gmail.com. And fully, let's get out of here. Let's go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.